So I can't quite believe back for a fourth episode.
Back by popular demand.
Is it popular?
No.
No.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, either way. Cool. So a weekend without rugby, what did you actually get up to? Other than...
I thought you were talking about this weekend.
No.
Are we going to have some rugby?
Well, actually that's a good point. Are we going to have some
Let's
rugby?
come back to it.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Let's start with... I know what you got up to. You might be the most injured man ever. Retirement?
It's getting old.
Retirement impending? Or?
Very close to that, yeah. We had a forwards versus backs, Old Mill Hillians Ryder Cup. The backs prevailed as expected.
Even carrying you? Well, literally.
I won my game.
Yep. How many holes did you play?
9.
And you managed to do your back after 9 holes?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. That's decent. That's actually.
Well, should we talk about your weekend?
What, mascot for Rams?
Yeah.
There's one way to make your match fee.
Exactly.
Best way to go.
Paid to be a mascot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't say fairer than fair.
Has anyone ever seen me and Rookie in the same room? The questions will remain. But yeah, a weekend without rugby, and I kind of missed it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a top-notch tournament so far, and to have no rugby was a shame, but hopefully this weekend will live up to the hype.
It's been a really good tournament. It's been one of those, I mean, we called it in week 1, we said it's going to be one of the most open tournaments, and I did originally say all 6 teams. That was probably being kind to Italy. They haven't been bad, and actually Wales have been terrible, but actually, if you look at the games that have gone so far, none of them have been boring. They've all
been good games.
And I think this weekend is really going to serve up something exciting. We'll start with the easiest sort of preview. Italy, Ireland in Italy. Easy question to start with. Have Italy got any chance?
No.
I agree.
Move on.
We could move on.
No, it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously Ireland will go there. We'll get the bonus point. But it'll be interesting to see how they blood potentially new players. I fully expect them to rotate.
That was going to be my question. Do you see Andy Farrell changing some players out?
I would assume so. Obviously,
my big question.
Obviously, Sexton.
Yeah, Sexton. I called it at the start of the tournament. It's a risk with injury, and I don't know how serious it was last time out. How much of a risk is that to Ireland's chances? Do you think you give him the extra week off now, give him 3 weeks between games, gets back fit? For the,
I think so.
Should be the big one.
Let's be honest. This game, they're going to win with a bonus point, regardless of who they're playing at 10. They can bring people in. People with experience. Bundyaki could come in. There's plenty of other players who have experience who haven't necessarily played or started in these games.
Who are you playing at 10? Are you playing Byrne at 10?
I think so. Yeah.
Is Carberry fit?
I'm not sure.
And then you've obviously got Billy Burns.
I think Billy Burns has fully fallen out of flavour there, hasn't he?
Which is an interesting one because he seemed to be the potential prince to the throne, didn't he, for a while?
I think he has been unlucky with injuries.
Yeah, he has. Okay, my big question to you, do you rest Van der Fleer and Doris?
They've got such wealth of riches in those back row areas, don't they?
They do, but then for me, there's something about momentum and keeping up, keeping sort of that flow going. They're playing so well. Do you remember the last time we rested them? They still won, but they didn't play brilliantly. And he ranted in their press conference.
I don't think he's going to make wholesale changes. I think he's going to make 2 or 3, potentially 4 or 5 tops. They have such a kind of cohesive unit now that I don't think these changes will massively make a difference. I think Italy are fully running out of steam. They shot their load against France first game. Against England, they didn't look great, and I think Ireland will put them to the sword.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, game 2, possibly game 2, could be a nothing game.
Could be a 2-game weekend.
Could be a 2-game weekend. Wales and England. I mean, we're going to try and spend a short amount of time on this, but it's going to be quite hard. Wales and England. Where do you start with Wales? It's a shambles.
It's a shambles. I don't know where to start. Where do we start?
Well, you sack your coach in the autumn.
Yeah.
You then have an absolute scandal in sexism, misogyny, harassment. Then you now have a players' strike potentially because you can't come to an agreement with your unions. Surely you can do one thing right. I mean, and a fair play to the players. They picked the right weekend. Obviously, England Wales is the biggest earner for the WRU.
Yes, I think the WRU would lose 9-10 million if the game doesn't go ahead.
So at least they picked their moment, and it's hard to kind of look, my view on this is I think rugby players' salaries are starting to inflate, and I understand there needs to be sustainability.
Well, yeah, if you look at kind of Wasps and Worcester going out of business more recently, the Welsh regions have probably, 2,000 people going to them tops?
Not even.
Exactly. So it's not sustainable, and it is starting to rear its head.
Yeah, there are cracks appearing, but I think the other thing is if you look at it from a personal point of view, from a player point of view, from a professional point of view, if you and I were sitting here in our sort of full-time jobs and someone turned around and said, "Oh, we're only going to pay you 80% of your salary," or we can't guarantee you're going to have a contract, and both of us would 100% be looking for other jobs. And I think it's not fair for the unions to treat players like that. I think,
but then again, and I might be misinformed, but do England not do that to some extent? And I know the English clubs probably pay better, but England don't allow their players to go out and play in France.
They don't, but I think it's different in the English league. In the English league, I think, I was about to say it's more sustainable, but then you turn around and say Worcester and Wasps. There are 11 teams in the Premiership now.
Yeah.
11 teams in the Premiership. Whilst this is, I'd say the attendance isn't amazing, it's not Premiership football by any means.
It's still a lot better than the regions. Yeah.
And you're not, I think you're not so reliant on, it's not centrally contracted as well, which is the other side of things.
So a better contrast potentially would be to look at Ireland versus Wales. But then Ireland do get the support.
This is where it completely is, and I think this is where the players kind of lose a little bit of support, is that they're being let down by the fans.
But that being said, so I was speaking, again, 'cause I'm not too informed with Welsh rugby and the politics behind it, but I was speaking to a Welsh friend yesterday, and basically where Welsh rugby shot themselves in the foot was moving it to regions as opposed to clubs. So they obviously merged Newport Gwent and people like that.
Swansea and Neath.
Neath. So then what people did, they became alienated because they didn't want to be one team. They wanted to be their region that they were passionate about, which they did used to get fans to. And they're just like, well, I don't want to watch this. So apparently a lot of people still watch club rugby, but it's the equivalent of the kind of Nat 1 rugby.
Yeah, so Welsh Premiership. And I'm not going to take credit for any of this argument, because I was listening to the rugby pod yesterday with Jiffy, Jonathan Davis and the guys chatting about that, and they were saying that there's two real ways to go about this. Either you do away with, well, actually, I say there's three. You do away with one region, you go to 3 Welsh regions, and you put more money behind those. You do away with 2 regions, and you just go with 2 Welsh regions, as they do in Scotland with Glasgow and Edinburgh.
But surely that's just going to alienate fans even further.
Well, so this is the thing. The other thing is you turn around and this is something that Jiffy didn't really talk about, but he talked about the importance of the Welsh Prem. Yeah. The other way you do it is you leave the URC and you do exactly what English rugby have. You run the Welsh Prem as the Premiership, and you do it that way. And I think, in terms of sustainability, and like you say, there's a greater fan base there, that might be the way to do it. But can you still centrally contract that way? Probably not.
But then in terms of a league, what are you going to do? Play 10 games against the same 4 teams?
No, well, this is what I think. No, I don't.
Or would you go back to?
I think you go back to the Welsh Prem. You split Neath and Swansea again. You play. I mean, if you look at the guys,
that does seem more sustainable.
It does. Does the standard of Welsh rugby drop? The other question is what you do is the model. You take the model of Australia and New Zealand, where you've got the Shoot Shield, or you've got the Mitre 10 Cup, or you've got all of those competitions where the professional players are still registered with their local clubs. They still play for their local clubs, and then they're selected for their region afterwards. Is that the model? I don't know.
I mean, interestingly, another one to factor in, and the whole thing is a whole catch-22, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but scrapping the 60 cap rule is only going to mean that the better players move away from Wales, and then so why would your casual fan go and watch
exactly? So there's
21-year-olds go and play rugby?
That's the thing. There's 3 things that the players are demanding: is the 100% salary, scrap of the 60 cap rule, and that they have a voice on the professional players board. Now, I think the 100% of salary and voice on the players board are not unreasonable.
Yeah, agreed.
The 60% cap thing, the problem with that is if the WA do allow that, they shoot themselves in the foot, because you're going to get a mass exodus.
Yeah.
You're going to earn far more money in France. You probably earn a little bit, well, I don't actually know, you probably do earn a fair bit more in the Premiership, but then the salary cap's changing again next year in the Prem and coming lower. So the opportunity is less so. And you'd argue that rule would benefit the elite of the game, but not so much the guys who are coming through, because you're going to get your elite players vanish off to play what arguably is a higher level of rugby. The Premiership is probably the best league in in the world at the moment.
English Premiership.
Yeah.
Better than top 14?
Yeah, definitely. Top 14 is, I think top 14 is a really interesting one. If you look at the top 14, you have a certain number of clubs that dominate, and then there's the whipping boys at the bottom. The Premiership now, really interestingly.
Really?
Yeah. I think really interestingly this year.
Saracens, who else would, like, who do you actually...
So Leicester
I know
beat
Leicester
Saracens
won it
with an
like...
unbelievable... I don't know, did you watch Leicester Sarries?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The old...
But that was just a one-off performance, but like...
No, I think, do you know what? This year, without my weekend of international rugby, I watched a bit of Premier Rugby. Leicester Saracens, Quins Gloucester is one of the best Premiership games I've watched in ages. London Irish turning
I think
around.
the standard has got a lot better, but I don't necessarily agree that...
There's 11 teams, and I genuinely think of that 11, 7 could challenge.
No.
Yeah. Guarantee me your top 4 for the Premiership then.
Off the top of my head, obviously Saracens.
So I think the only guarantee you can give is Saracens. I think the other 3 are so open. And then when it comes to knockout rugby, then
it's all to play for.
Yeah, exactly. So
then who's going to play Saracens in the final?
I don't think so. I think the issue is I think you guarantee Sarries a home semi-final.
Yeah, they're not losing that.
I don't know. I really don't know.
This might be another chat for another day.
100%. This is we've gone down the rabbit hole. Let's go back to Wales England.
Yeah.
Is the game going to go ahead? We find out today. By any chance, but the awkward thing might be that we're recording this on Wednesday morning and the announcement is due today. We could end up putting this out and the WRU will come out with yes or no. So yes or no.
Well, I'm going to the game.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm going to the game. It's my first ever Wales away day. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I've got full faith that the game's going to go ahead. I think they're going to change the rule from 60 cap to 30 caps. And then the other 2, like you said, I think they are reasonable. Yeah. Reasonable. I think the game's going to go ahead.
I think the WRU can't afford for it not to go ahead. Yeah. I think the players have played a blinder there. I think I'm with you. I think they'll agree to the 100% salary. I think they'll agree to the 40%.
I mean, it's just interesting, isn't it? Because obviously, I think they will agree to the demands, but it's not. It still doesn't make it any more sustainable.
It kicks the can down the road. There is a bigger conversation. So basically,
the players are just getting paid a bit more for what? Anyway,
let's move.
Should we talk about England?
Well, there's one other thing I want to talk about with Wales.
Okay.
I mean, Wales Irish Annals, but I'm going to go back to that Quins Gloucester game. Did you see any of it?
No.
Lewis Rees-Zammit is a joke.
I saw that.
Absolute joke. And unfortunately for him, similar with James Lowe last Six Nations game, unbelievable finish, but he did brush just before. But the guy is insane.
He's coming straight back into the team, isn't he?
You can't not.
He is so quick. But even just those runs, like the try he did score.
Well, he's a born and bred poacher.
Yeah.
He is. You know what he's a hybrid between? He is a proper hybrid between your Anthony Watson, rapid, decent winger.
And Jack Roster.
Jack Roster, no, I'm not a poacher in any way. I'm going to avoid all contact. I was going to say what Chris Ashton does quite well.
That try was very Chris Ashton.
He gets on the end and he just
knows
appears.
when and where to run that line and does it so well, and it's pretty hard, nigh on impossible to stop.
Yeah, 100%. So Rees-Zammit straight back in. I don't think there's any argument with that. England, I'm going to ask an interesting question on this. And it was made a little bit easier by the fact that Tom Curry is back to injury, but pick me your back row for this weekend.
So I've gone Willis, Ludlam and Dombront.
Okay.
And I think we discussed off air, but I think it might be Dombront's last few chances to prove that he's worthy of that 8 jersey. Obviously we know that Curry can play 8. I think Ludlam can probably play 8. Law's coming back into fitness. And then obviously, Curry coming back. So
I think I agree that is what they're going to pick. They are going to pick that.
Yeah.
I think what I'd have liked to have seen Northampton give Laws some minutes if possible.
I think that's the tricky thing, isn't it? Him coming, having played nothing to play an international test in Cardiff.
I think that Steve Borthwick has made a bit of a sort of a foul of that. He was the only nation not to release players back to clubs during the break weekend. I think he should have released players that needed minutes like Laws. If Laws had got minutes as Northampton last weekend, Northampton would have won. And I think you could genuinely argue play Laws at 6. Put Ludlam to 8 because I think he's been on fire. And unfortunately for me, Domrad's my boy. I think I've backed him the whole way through.
Yeah.
He's not played well. I'd like to see Ludlam 8, and you cannot not start Willis. Speaking
So
of
should we
that,
start a campaign, drop Dombront?
No.
Not yet, or should we do that after the Wales game?
We'll do it after the Wales game.
Okay,
I'm quietly
perfect.
hoping that he's going back to his hometown, back to where he kicked off his rugby back in Wales, and he's going to tear up there. But I think the really interesting one, coming back to back row, your boy fully dropped out of the 26-man squad, Ben Earl.
Yeah, didn't really see that coming, but
I think it's a bit of a shame.
I think it's a shame. I think we discussed this, but he's never really been given, for how good he is at Premiership level, which he tears up
given him a
week
shot
in,
yet.
week out. He's never had that same opportunity that Dombront's had, who's come in and not performed. Earl arguably has performed when he comes on.
But he's never given more than 20 minutes, and I think that's not...
I know, which, yeah.
It's a bit of a shame.
And to be fair, we do have so many people in that position that you could argue. So obviously Laws is going to come in.
But I would argue that, and this is really harsh on Ben Curry, Ben Curry did not have a great debut game for England.
I completely agree with that. I'm not sure why Earl's not getting selected ahead of Curry.
Yeah, that's my issue. I think that's...
And can Curry play 8?
I don't know about Ben.
Whereas Earl can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
he'd be the lightest weight 8 going.
Yeah.
But I still think the way how good he is in the break. Imagine a back row with him and Willis on at the same time.
Yeah.
No breakdown is safe. It'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, last game of the weekend, and
Arguably the probably most interesting game.
yeah, absolutely.
Actually, not arguably. It
No,
is.
it is.
It's the game I'm most looking forward to
Yeah,
seeing.
same. And I'm glad it's Sunday because it means I'm definitely going to be able to watch. Seeing as
He'll be
my
sitting on
games-
a bench somewhere.
Well, yeah, travelling reserve. I can watch all of them. So, France-Scotland is going to be really interesting. So, a couple of points to put on this. The French haven't looked good, let's be honest. And I made the call at the start of the tournament that they would win it, and you made the call of Ireland, and you were completely right.
Shock.
Sean Edwards is going to be seething. I didn't
Yeah.
think he was. I don't think the French really put their hands up in the last game, given it was Ireland and Ireland had a storm. Ireland were great. Let's not take that away.
Do you think that result would have been the same had they played in Paris?
Yeah, I don't. I'm really. So I've got to agree with you on this. I don't think Ireland can be stopped at the moment. They are on fire. They
Yeah.
are so good. I think really interestingly, and you bring me really nicely onto that in Paris. The French actually don't have a brilliant record against
Not
Scotland.
against Scotland,
in
no,
Paris.
which
They
is very interesting.
Seem to be their bogey team, and you'd like to think that the way Scotland are conducting themselves genuinely looks like they're threatening. The rugby pod put it really nice last night. If the French get the physicality going and they get their defence right, Scotland will struggle. That's absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And I think had they done that against Ireland, even Ireland would have struggled. I think Ireland would have still won, but I think they'd have struggled. I think if the Scots can get on the front foot, give Finn a pocket to play in, there is genuine possibility they could cause an.
I think that's why this game's so. No,
it's
it's not. I think that's why this game is so intriguing. 'Cause I think France will win, but I'm not convinced. I think they will, but
they will. But okay, so either way with this one, I think it's going to be decided by maximum 5 points. I think it's going to be really tight.
We'll move on to it, but I've gone France by 6.
I've gone Scotland by 5.
Ooh.
So I think it's going to be really, really close. I think it is very selection dependent. I think if Sean Edwards can get into them and get their physicality going, and the French back row can actually perform in the way they know, then Scotland are going to struggle.
And
but
they're due a good.
They are, but
performance.
if they allow Scotland a foothold early and let them play, let Finn bring in the likes of Van der Merwe, Stain, Hugh Jones, Hogg. I mean, just saying those names now. We talked about this last time we spoke. Scotland genuinely have a team of match winners.
Yeah.
And if you let them get on the front foot, they're going to cause real issues. Sorry, I've forgotten Tuipulotu out of that as well.
Yeah.
That entire Scotland backline is on fire at the moment. Fiku, you've got to contain Fiku.
Yep.
You've got to contain Pinot.
Pinot, Ramos.
Ramos
not so much. He's just a steady performer.
Absolutely.
Isn't he?
Ramos is just your Mr. No Mistakes, does everything well.
Yeah.
And if you give him kicking range, he will punish you. Whereas Scotland they're playing like Mavericks. They're playing some really exciting stuff. So I agree with you completely. Really excited about this one. I think I keep saying there's games of the tournament. There's a game of the tournament every week at the moment. That makes it really exciting. If Scotland go on and win, it's a Scotland-Ireland showdown in Dublin, which will be unbelievable. That will be so good. Triple Crown showdown, potential Grand Slam showdown. And because if Scotland actually have almost the perfect run in here. They've got their 2 hardest games now, you'd argue, other than England. Their 2 hardest games. Not that hard, honestly. Yeah. Their 2 hardest games now. They've beaten Wales at home. They've now got France away, which they've actually got a good record in. And if they can take some momentum from that and go to Dublin, that becomes really interesting. You never know. Ireland at that point, it's Ireland have got everything to lose. Scotland are playing at that point relaxed. They're probably guaranteed second.
I still don't see it, but
I don't, but you'd love it to happen. I know you wouldn't. You've already publicly said you're not interested in Scotland doing well, but
no. I mean,
love to see it
to be honest, I actually really like watching Scotland at the moment.
Okay, here's my
which
question
has
for you.
made me warm.
So
to them
here's my
slightly
question:
more.
if Scotland beat France this weekend,
Yeah.
who are you supporting? Scotland, Ireland,
Rugby.
rugby.
Rugby
Good
is
answer.
the winner.
Rugby.
I don't know. To be honest, maybe Scotland, just to mix things up.
I've got a real soft spot for Scotland. I really do. They are. If it's not England, I'd like Scotland or Italy. Anyone but Wales.
Yeah, fine.
Right. Moving on from France, Scotland then. Score predictions for this week.
Yeah.
Italy, Ireland.
I've gone Ireland by 17.
I've gone Ireland by 24.
I think it'll be one of those results. I can't see
the
them.
the only positive for this is it's Italy in Italy. Problem is if Ireland get the tails up, that's it.
Yeah, which I think they will. I can't see any scenario where Italy get within 10.
No, neither can I. Wales v England. I'm really interested because we haven't actually discussed this.
So head says England by kind of 8 to 12. So I've gone optimistic. I've gone England by 12. But I do realise I changed that from 8 this morning. I just think with the whole strike thing, in Cardiff, we've seen Wales really...
Yeah, I think they could come out the blocks fine.
Exactly. With that crowd behind them.
And knowing their backs against the wall.
Yeah.
You've got a Wales that are literally fighting for their survival.
And we've seen this time and time again with Wales. Like, this is the one game, and we say it with Scotland, we say it with Wales, this is the one game they will target, and however badly they've been playing...
Their Six Nations is done. They don't care about the Six Nations.
Just beat England.
Just beat England, isn't it? So I'm as conflicted as you. I've got England by 3.
3.
It's going to be tight.
It's going to be a dogfight, isn't it?
Because my issue is if England go in with the tactics that they went against Italy, I don't like him. But Liam Williams is a dangerous runner.
Yeah.
Louis Rizama is the most dangerous runner in world rugby at the moment.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if who are they going to drop? Rio Dyer?
I know. I was thinking that. I don't know who they would drop. I mean, either way, Wales have always had a good back three.
Their back three is going to be very good. And the other thing is...
But I'm not sure, was that just a tactic for Italy? Because we didn't see it the week before.
Yes, we did. They kicked the ball... Not in the red zone, but they just kicked the ball away.
Yeah.
I don't think England can afford to kick the ball away to Wales, because that's how we've lost to Wales in the past. 2015, we lost them because we kicked the ball away. Yeah, okay. We both said very tight. We both said England, but we're both very wary.
Yeah.
Last one, France, Scotland.
France by 6.
Scotland by 3. I think if Scotland get a foothold, I said Scotland by 5. I think if Scotland can get a foothold early, they're in for it.
I can't wait for that game. Game of weekend.
I'm really excited for that. And you're going to be doing well, as long as it goes ahead, a bit of live coverage from Wales, England.
Yeah.
Prepare for some...
Through the beer goggles.
Yeah, entertaining, pissed up videos from you. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep.
Okay, Fantasy League-wise, neither of us have picked our teams yet, so we're going to do a slightly different way of doing this. I want your biggest performer, so the person you think will score the most points, and your biggest flop.
Biggest performer, I've gone James Lowe. I'm going to pack my backline with Irish. I think they're going to score 4, 5, 6 tries. So why not put one of the back 3 in there? So
I've gone back row instead. I've gone Caelan Doris. I think Doris is going to tear up.
Yeah.
Given Italy, interestingly, Italy's best players have been their back row. Negro's been on fire.
Yeah.
But the way Doris has played against some of the top teams of Six Nations, I can't see them containing him. So we've both gone Ireland, unsurprisingly, especially with the way you both predicted the score. But yeah, top score for me, Caelan Doris. Who's your biggest flop?
Flop of the week, I've gone Don Brunt, your favourite player in the Gallagher Premiership, in the Six Nations. I think his last chance saloon.
Yeah, 100%. He's back in saloon, isn't he?
Which could make him or break him, let's be honest. We've seen how well he does perform for Harlequins, but that step up between Premiership Rugby and Six Nations...
Well, I'm going to have to decide whether to keep him in my team or not. I've gone Old Faithful.
You've got to, and you've got to keep Farrell.
Yeah, I probably do, unfortunately. No, I said I was dropping Farrell this week, and I bet he scores well. Typical.
Interesting.
So my biggest flop's a really interesting one because he's not a flop. I just think lots of people are going to put him into their team because they like him. I think it's Ange Capuzzo. Yes,
he's not going to get any ball. Actually, he might get a lot of ball in terms of him kicking, but he's not going to have the space that he's.
That's the best defence in the tournament. That's the issue.
He's not scoring.
Look, don't get me wrong, he scored a wonder try against France. and that was great individual skill. I just don't see it happening against the likes of Ireland. They're just too good at the moment. So whilst he's not a flop, I just don't think he's going to score points this weekend.
I don't think so. I can agree on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Last part. We're going back to our new section of Q&A, and we've got 2 questions in. So last week we picked our team of the week, and we had a couple of non-Lions based halfbacks, and a question came in on LinkedIn of who would you currently pick for 2025 for your Lions 9 and 10?
So it's an interesting one, wasn't it? Because I guess there's 2 ways of looking at it. One way of looking at it is the people who are fit right now and playing well in the Six Nations. And then I guess moving forward, looking to the actual Lions test, who we think it will be.
Okay, well, let's change the question to start with then. Let's say the Lions test is this summer. It's not the World Cup this summer. Let's say it's the Lions tour this summer. Who are you picking as your 9 and 10?
So 9 and 10, I'd go Gibson Park and Finn Russell.
It's in Australia, isn't it? Do you know what? I can't argue with that. I think I'm going the same. Gibson Park, Finn Russell.
That's unreal.
Yeah. Finn Russell is
Finn
insane.
Russell's got to be at 10. I think 9 is probably the one you could argue either way.
So this is the thing I was going to say. As it currently stands, if you're going to go experience, I'll probably go Conor Murray. Just because of the level of experience you have. But if we go 2025, I don't think he's going to still be playing. I think he's retiring after this.
But then also you could chuck the Scottish 9 in.
Ben White.
Ben White obviously has that understanding with Russell.
Yeah.
Has been very good this tournament. I wouldn't be anti him playing.
Yeah. You know what? We're actually, for the first time, we are really blessed with 9s and 10s in the home nations at the moment. I think there's a lot of combinations.
Okay, so here's another hypothetical question. If Finn Russell got injured, who would be your 10 and then your fly half off the bench?
It depends what sort of rugby you want to play. Because I know who it's not. I'm not taking Farrell. And I know you're going to argue with that, but for me...
Well, how old will he be in 2 years' time?
No, he'll still be playing. He'll still be fine. He's 20... He's 30.
He's 20, yeah, 30.
So...
Well, look at Sexton.
Well, yeah, exactly. Look at Sexton. That's another one. It's not going to be Sexton either.
No.
So, for me, I'd love it to be Smith. 2 more years of international rugby, 2 more years of experience, hopefully. I don't know how much experience he's going to get with the way England are playing at the moment, with Farrell at 10. But I'd love it to be Smith. As much as I really can't stand him, Bigger's a hell of a fly half. When he's on form.
But the chat around Bigger and the Welsh squad this week is they want him dropped. They want Owen Williams to come in.
I don't think you can. We're going back on.
I think they might.
I think they will, but I think that's a big mistake.
I think it's a mistake. But
the guy's so competitive, and he's the sort of bloke who can get into Farrell's head. Conversely, Farrell can also get into his head.
Yeah.
But
whereas I don't see that happening with Owen Williams.
Well, but do you want to bring a green international fly half in against England, your biggest game of the year? I think that's the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah, I'd keep Bigger.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. We've got one more question.
Yeah, one more question from the Badger, who says he's been a season ticket. Well, actually, the Badger had a question last week as well, so I think he's now going to be a permanent fixture on the pod.
Works for me.
The Badger said he's been a season ticket holder at Saracens since the days of Vicarage Road. So yeah, he's a self-proclaimed massive Saracens fan. He said, "Who's the biggest journeyman/mercenary in pro rugby?"
Okay, let's define this. So, journeyman, most clubs, or happy to jump around, mercenary, who's taking the most money for the least benefit.
Yeah.
So for me, there's only one for journeyman. I love him, but the biggest journeyman in rugby is Andy Good.
Yeah.
Jumped around everywhere, tore up wherever he went, but he is a journeyman.
He was very good at Premiership rugby, wasn't he?
100%. I've still got visions of him scoring for Newcastle and then just painting as one of your French girls and lying on the try line. So yeah, Andy Good for journeyman. Mercenary for me, this is a really rogue one. It's Charles Piatow. Takes
Not that rogue.
Well, it takes £1 million a year from Bristol, and Bristol have just not performed in years. So for me, journeyman, Good, mercenary, Piatow.
Fine. So I've also gone Good for journeyman. For mercenary, this might be slightly harsh and I might get a bit backlash, but Stephen Donald coming to Bath, he came as a World Cup winner. He basically didn't do anything that tournament.
He's Dan Carter's understudy.
Yeah, he didn't do anything that tournament. He didn't do anything that final. He came on massive money.
Hang on, he kicked the winning goal in that final.
That's all he did. Didn't do anything in that final. Came to Bath on a massive contract. I've never seen a worse rugby player. Was utterly useless and then basically just refused to leave. And the same could be said from a Bath point of view of Toby Faletau.
Yeah.
To be fair to Faletau, has been good when he's played, but
For Wales, you mean?
he has been good for Bath
Has
as
he?
well. But he's never fit, and then suddenly miraculously appears when it's international time, and then gets injured again. So I would go Stephen Donald and Toby Faletau.
I like it. Right. The one thing I have forgotten to mention is I have doubled down this week. So
Yes.
I'm going to have to pick my fantasy league carefully. I'm definitely not telling you who I'm picking, but it's a double or quits.
No, but
week
I
for
already
me.
know you're picking Farrell and Don
I'm
Bron.
not picking Farrell. I'm not picking Farrell.
It's a big week for you. It's a big week for you.
It is a big week.
6 pints are on the line.
Yeah. Right. See you next week.
See you next week.